So Jim, a couple of weeks in nearly, as a player, you would have been on the side of the hunted and teams looking your signature. How does it feel to be on the other side and be turning into the hunter?
It's certainly different, Ian. But no, it's been enjoyable the first couple of weeks here at the football club. There's been a lot of work sort of put in, a lot of hours put in with me and my backroom staff and having different meetings and stuff and getting to know the sort of ins and outs of the running of the football club. So it's been very busy, but it's been very worthwhile.
And you mentioned your backroom staff in terms of a whole new group in, really. If you want to talk us through some of the new characters that we'll see on the sidelines?
Yeah, well, obviously Stephen Seaton, as you heard when it was introduced, he's someone that I've looked up to for a long time in the sort of the football coaching scenes. He was the one that got me involved, and he's a fantastic coach. So it was a no-brainer to sort of get Stephen on board, and I feel I'm very lucky to have him here because, like I've said previously, it would have been easier for him to sort of stay where he was and not put himself forward. So I was delighted to get him on board. Pat McShane. Obviously I played with Pat at Linfield and he looked after me, and he's always someone that again I looked up to and sort of had my best interests at heart. Obviously when he stopped playing, he went on and done coaching at senior level, and later he's been at the sort of youth side of things, but Pat was only too eager to get back on board and come alongside. He's seen it as a challenge, and he's one that never shies away from it, so I was delighted to get him on board. And again, another one that I was very lucky because there was other clubs out there that were looking to get him in their coaching staff, so very, very fortunate that Pat decided to come on board. And Stuart Addis is in, obviously he's goalkeeping coach, which was one that was vital for me. Stuart played with at Ballymena and Linfield, so sort of known what qualities that he brings, and again he's been doing a bit of coaching for the last lot of years at Dungannon Swifts in Armagh City, so he's another one that has a lot of experience. And he's chomping at the bit to sort of get his chance at this level, and he's looking forward to getting in and getting started also.
I know you're working on the likes of the 20s, 18s, 16s. I don't know if you can give us any more information in terms of faces and names there.
Yeah, well then obviously also too I've got Cliff Ferguson in on board as their scout, and Cliff is another one that knows the local game inside out, and he'll be a big help to us sort of identifying players from here on in, and the work that he's already done so far, especially with the two boys that we've signed, has came with a lot of work too with Cliff. So he's another one we're very fortunate to have. Regarding the 20s, 18s and 16s, obviously there's a bit of a restructure going on there. I think the 16s has already been announced that David Courtney is coming on board there with the 16s. The 18s and 20s should be sort of revealed in the next couple of days as to who's going to step in and take those two teams. But again, it's exciting, especially sort of at that age group and at that level. I think there'll be a lot of excitement, and the appointments that we look to make will be good appointments for Ballymena United because they're Ballymena through and through. And I thought that was vital to get that structure put in place.
In relation to the youth, then obviously we've the youth set up here and the women's team and the learning disability team, and I suppose even you've been away a couple of years. Have things developed even in that time, or do you notice changes? Or
yeah, I think so, because I think when I was here at the time there wasn't really much about sort of the women's side of things, the disability team. The academy was in place and running well. And Johnny Hume has done a great job there, and we're looking to sort of come in and help Johnny with myself, backroom staff, that that continues to go strength to strength. I think it's vital that we all pull in one direction, as you say, between the academy, the disability team and the women's football. It all has to fall in line with the football club at senior level, and that's something that we'll look to sort of pull together, because I feel that if we all pull in the same direction, we'll all fight for the same cause. It can only benefit everybody, and that's something that we'll work hard on in the coming months. We're not going to get there straight away. It will take time, but it's something that we've definitely looked at, and we would love to get everybody on board and singing off the same hymn sheet, because I think it's vital for this football club. And
you mentioned earlier in terms of the work that Cliff's done, you brought a couple of players in. You're happy with Colin and Johnny?
Yeah, listen, we sit down as a coaching team and we've identified certain sort of areas and certain types of players that we need to bring in, and I think the one thing we need to do is bring leaders, and in signing Colin and Johnny, I definitely think we've done that with the experience that the two of them have. You look at Colin Coates, you know, his record speaks for itself. He played over 35 games last season for Cliftonville, you know, and it was a no-brainer for me when he came available. You know, he's got a winning mentality, the standards that he sets himself. You know, he'll bring that into our changing room. He'll help the young boys, which I think's vital, and he'll almost be like a coach for us on the pitch, which I think's very, very important for the young boys that's going to be in and around the team. So I thought that was very important, and I'm delighted to get Colin on board, and I look forward to working with him come 1st of July. Johnny McMurray, again, you know, played with Johnny back at Ballymena. Our time together was a successful one, and I hope it can be a successful one this time around again. You know, again, he's going to lead from the front. He's a big personality, so he'll be a big personality in the training or in the changing room for us. Another one that sets really high standards, and when people fall below that standard, you know, he'll not accept it, and that's what we're looking at. Again, he'll be a massive help for the young lads in the changing room. But I think you'll see the real Johnny out on the pitch, and we look forward to seeing him there.
And alongside that, the news that Scott Whiteside, Andy McGrory, Jordan McMullen have all signed extensions, and also first pro contract for young Lewis Tennant as well.
Yeah, I think that was important. Obviously, Lewis has come on the scene. I didn't know an awful lot about him until he came to the football club, but he's rewarded with with the hard work that he's paid off. And again, he's another one that has come through the academy. And he showed that, you know, if you put the hard work in, you'll get the rewards at the end of it. Jordan, I can remember from my time here, a young lad coming through, and I think last year he was very unfortunate with injury. I think it was only right that he was rewarded again, you know, and hopefully he can kick on this year and show us what he's made of. And they, you know, again, the experience that Andy's going to bring to the football club. He's been about for a long time now, and he's one that has that standard that we're looking for again to try and bring and help those young lads on. But the quality that Andy's got when he gets himself fit is there to be seen, and he's one that we'll look forward to again. Hopefully stays injury free and can kick on this season. Scott Whiteside I thought was a very important one. Scott turned down a number of other Premiership clubs to remain here, and he showed his loyalty to the club. I know the club stuck by him through his injury spell for 2 years there, but he came back last year and his performances were top notch, so I think it was only right that he was rewarded. And Scott's going to be a huge player for us. Another one that has a certain standard that he carries himself with, and he's one that I think will kick on this year.
And obviously, as is football, as players come in, players go. Craig Farquhar and Dougie Wilson away this week.
Yeah, I had a conversation with both boys early on when I came in. Dougie, obviously the travelling to and from Ballymena was a bit much for him, obviously with working and stuff. And we sort of said that if anything was able to be worked on, we wouldn't stand in his way, and we would try and help sort of get something done. Thankfully, Portadown, came in and had a chat with him, and he was happy enough. And obviously, both clubs then came to an agreement that we wouldn't stand in his way. And I wish Dougie all the best. He's a top pro, and he couldn't have been thankful enough with the dealings we had with him, and how we sort of work things to try and get him, make it a bit easier for him, because ultimately we want players that want to be here, and and that it's beneficial for them to stay. Dougie was, like I say, with work commitments and travelling arrangements and stuff like that, he thought it was best if he could get something closer to home, and that's what we've done. On Craig was one that sort of I knew coming into the football club that Larne were chasing him, and there was something on the table before I arrived. We wanted to have a conversation with Craig to see if we could persuade him to stay. We offered to, give him a better contract than what he was currently on and keep him here at the football club. But Craig sort of had his mind already made up that he wanted to leave the football club and pursue full-time football. Which, listen, I'm not knocking. It's difficult for young boys to turn that down. But at the same time, I have a duty of care at this football club, and it needed to be right for both parties, that before anything can be concluded, and Craig understood that. We had several conversations with him and his family to see if there was anything that we could do, but I think ultimately Craig's decision was made a long time ago. And like I say, I wish Craig all the best, hope it works out for him, but Ballymena United continues on.
And as you say, it does continue on. We're probably maybe a couple of weeks away from pre-season starting, and you'll be looking forward to that, and getting the players out onto the training pitch?
Yeah, I think that's the thing I'm most excited about. You know, there's a lot been going on the last 2 weeks, and there'll be a lot more going on the next 2 weeks here. You know, with hopefully more signings coming in the coming days and weeks before we get back in for pre-season on the 1st of July. It's something me and my staff are really looking forward to. It's, you know, just want to get in and meet the players properly and get to work with them in the training ground, because I think that's where they'll see the best of us. But we're very much looking forward to the 1st of July.
And I think there's maybe about 8 games already arranged in terms of pre-season friendlies, and those will be published already, and there might be a few updates in relation to that. I think Newington were added to that from what we had previously put out. So again, you'll be interested to see how the players perform over 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Listen, the players have been sent a training programme to do sort of for the couple of weeks that they've been off. You know, and that means we can come in and hit the ground running on the 1st. And obviously the games then come thick and fast. You know, pre-season, I think you can look at it one or two ways. You know, you can sort of ease your way into it and take it from there. But I feel that, you know, you have to have that trust with the players that they'll do their own away from the football club. And once we come back in the 1st, we'll get the balls out and we'll, you know, start doing the football session straight away rather than straight into the running. I'm sure the players will be pleased to hear. But no, the games. I think it's vital that we try and get as many 90-minute games for everybody, you know, as possible, so that they're ready for the league campaign. Obviously, it starts a week earlier this year, so it's important that we try and get as many 90 minutes for each player, so that we're ready come the 1st of August.
And will you miss not training?
Yeah, I've missed it already, but listen, you know, it'll probably be once we come in the 1st of July and actually taking the sessions rather than joining in. I'll probably miss it even more. But listen, that was my decision. I had was already made up before the job had sort of came to me, that if I ever get into this position, I would have to retire. I've been asked numerous times, would I not consider doing both? But I don't think I would be able to give me all then at this side of it if I tried to do a bit of football as well. So it probably hasn't sunk in just yet that the boots are officially hung up. But, you know, listen, it is what it is. I'm in a very privileged position at the minute. And I just want to make sure I give it 100%, and that's why it had to be one or the other. So I think I've chose the right path.